Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning. As a countywide elected official and a chief law enforcement officer of the county and a proud member of our public safety team, I'm up here today representing all the men and women who bravely serve this county, no matter what their discipline is. And I am here today to implore you to accept the resignation of County Manager Jim Deneen, effective immediately. This latest episode has epitomized Deneen's reckless, corrupt, inept, lying administration. He can't help it. It's in his DNA. He has lost his legitimacy to lead. He has lost the trust and confidence of the community and the workforce. And as a result, this council is collateral damage. You too are losing your legitimacy in your unwavering support of his shady, backroom deals and cronyism. His actions with the impact fee study have exposed the blatant and flourishing concept of play-to-pay politics in Volusia County. And this is just the most recent example of it. You all have a moral and ethical and legal obligation to provide transparent, clean, and responsive democracy to our citizens. Again, I implore you to lead and not follow. To believe that Deneen must lead the county over the next 6 months in everything from budget to weather-related items to choosing his own successor is a complete abdication of your responsibilities and is pandering to the few rich and powerful who control this county. Let's start with an interim county manager who possesses the qualities of integrity, honor, and transparency to take charge, break the cycle of pay-to-play politics, and allow for a fair, uninfluenced national search for a qualified county manager. The floodgates are now open. The longer Deneen stays in power, you can be guaranteed more disturbing revelations will appear in the media. Once that occurs, that will render this government inept and paralyzed. This decision is a no-brainer. Pay him and let's move forward. The community is depending on you to do the right thing. Mr. Chairman, you once said we are the beginning of the I-4 corridor, not the end. The council needs to realize that and accept Mr. Deneen's resignation and make it effective immediately. Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, a pretty good lead-in to double OA. Over the weekend, taking time away from my family, I had numerous conversations with the county manager. And as you know, what we're discussing is not whether the option that we have of having him continue. He is obligated by the contract that he signed to give us 6 months of service. Oh, just listen to, please hear me out. I try not to interrupt you. Just let me finish, but I'm good at forgetting what I'm saying, you know. So let me go with my thoughts. We talked, I guess the last conversation we had was on Sunday, while I was sitting having lunch with my son and daughter in Santa Rosa Beach. He said, do you think that I could be relieved of the obligation? He is obligated, we are not. He said, I'm willing to not offer to serve if you're willing to relieve me of that responsibility. He came to me and said he would like to be relieved. He is obligated to give us 6 months. He said, rather than continue this, I have things that I want to do. Let's go ahead and put this to rest. I want to move on with my life. If the county will be able to, if we as a council will relieve him of that option. And so in conversation Sunday and Monday, I finished this up yesterday afternoon at 3:32, I think it was. That's why it was late getting on the agenda. With our attorney, Dan Eckert. And I asked Dan to prepare something. And Dan, if you would read what I asked you to prepare for the council.
Mr. Chair, reflective of what you just said, I suggest a motion to end the transition period of the county manager after June 22nd, 2018, and to pay all accumulated leave as of that date. And the effect of that suggested motion is rather than would cause a transition with the council designating an active county manager as after that date. Mr. Deneen would receive the 151 days or so that it would be entitled under accumulated leave. The difference is that county, or the rank and file county employee can go with only 140 days. However, the rank and file county employee usually is allowed to burn down some leave, so to speak, to take some leave in anticipation of a planned departure. There are limitations on that even for the rank and file, but here it's your contract. It says that he accumulates leave as the rate of a regular employee. It doesn't really deal with explicitly with the issue of the limitation on the leave. So again, the suggested, that's the effect of the motion, is to move to end the transition period employment of the county manager after June 22nd, 2018, and to pay all accumulated leave as of that date.
And in addition to that, I talked to Jim. I didn't want to leave our county in a situation where we would not have an acting county manager, so he talked with Deputy County Manager George Rechtingwall. I spoke with George yesterday afternoon and asked him if the county would approve, if this council would approve, would he be willing to serve for 90 days as the interim county manager. He said only under the condition that he would not be considered for the real county manager, that he would do that. He enjoys what he is doing, but he's willing to step up and serve as the acting county manager. So I would ask in the motion, if we can get a motion to the effect that what Mr. Everett read, that it would also include that we would make Mr. Rechtingwall the interim county manager for 90 days.
Mr. Chair, I would move that motion.
Second.
Is there a second?
I move to postpone that motion until it can be discussed fully.
The motion is made and seconded. Any discussion of the motion?
I have discussion.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The motion is made and seconded.
For the record.
Pardon? Motion
For
was
the
made by
record.
Ms. Toussaint.
Yes, sir. I want to say who seconded the motion. Yes, sir.
Mr. Patterson seconded.
Thank you.
I think I heard more than one. So the motion is made and seconded. We will have a discussion.
Okay. So I think it's very important to clarify for everyone the terms of the contract. And as is typical in general government, it seems as if everything is made to sound, my husband's tired of hearing this. I always say it's not rocket science, right? And I say that so much because it seems as if in government we have a tendency to create this aura.
Let's a comment. We are discussing whether or not to relieve him of his obligation. We have a rule. We're not going to run this like we did the last time. It's not going to be scattered comments all over the place. We're going to speak to the issue. The issue is whether or not we relieve him of his obligation to us.
And that's what I'm discussing. That's what I'm discussing, yeah. So
Would you do that, please?
I am discussing that, and I would have been further in, Mr. Chair, with all due respect, if I had not been interrupted.
Just a
Hang
minute.
on, please.
I'm going to run this meeting the way that I'm empowered to run it, and that is to keep it to the issue. And if I feel that the issue, if you as the council feel that I'm not doing that, I'm not signaling out any one person. I had to call Ms. Denny's, my vice chair, down a couple of weeks ago. We're going to speak to the issue, and that's why government is supposed to work. We're a business, and this is the business approach. It's nothing personal. It's nothing against you, Ms. Post. It's just that we
Nothing
want
personal taken. I would just love to speak to the issue.
Speak to the issue.
Thank you so much. So,
Before you just want to, are you speaking to the issue or to the motion?
To the motion.
Okay, I want to make sure it is the motion.
Okay. She's speaking to the motion.
we're ready? Okay. So, again, it seems as if in government everything is considered very confused and just so complicated and everything else. But what I would like to point out is the county manager's contract is 7 pages. One of those pages is a signature page. There are basically two paragraphs that pertain to this specific issue, which would be actually one paragraph that specifically pertains to this issue, which would be the motion, which would be the terms of him leaving. And I would like to point out some of that. I guess I'll just read it. I don't have it for the screen, but it basically says that we as a council have the right to unless he is terminated for just cause, he can stay for 6 months transitional period unless waived by the council. So the contract, this one paragraph in the contract that pertains to this specific motion, one paragraph, and I as a layperson, it's very easy for me to understand, specifically states that unless he's terminated for just cause, he can stay for 6 months transitional period unless that is waived by the council. And it also encompasses, unless he's terminated for just cause, he gets an additional lump sum equal to a year's salary, which is approximately $250,000, even if the council says that they don't want his help to stay and pick out a successor. So whether or not we accept his resignation today, and whether or not he stays for 6 months, whether or not he leaves and packs his bags after the meeting, he has the option to stay, according to the contract, for a transition period of up to 6 months to pick his successor and to continue operations. We as a council, and it says right here, we as a council have the option to negate that. So for us to say and to tell the public that we don't have it, our hands are tied, it's in the contract, there's nothing we can do to negate that, is incorrect. It's right there.
That's exactly what it says. That's what we're doing right now. We're waiving his requirement. That's what the vote is.
What about 250?
We're doing
Mr.
exactly
Chair,
that. Yes.
I think that we need to call for a decorum here that public is not, if I can listen to you, certainly you should have the respect to listen to the council members as we speak. I'm used to mad folk. I've been there before in many instances, but I respect you. And ladies and gentlemen, I demand that you respect me. And so, therefore, let's act as adults and treat this, as we go through this process, as adults need to do. You would expect your children to do that, and I certainly expect mine to do that. So let's not, we can make our points without yelling out. And Mr. Chair, I think that we have to do this because it's just not the right thing to do. We must respect each other. I've lived too long to know that respect is due, and I demand respect from people because I give it to others. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Guzman. And just to clarify, I think what you just stated was exactly what we're voting on. So it is in the contract, and that's what he has asked us to waive. So
I
you
understand
restated
that.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
wanted to ensure that everyone understood what it actually says.
Right. Well, that's what we started out with. So everyone should understand it.
So on that same note of just cause, I will wait till this motion is made, but understand that I will be making an additional motion after that.
We have a motion on the floor, and which is, as Ms. Crusade, did you want to speak again, or is it?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor, which effectively is to relieve him of his obligation, for us to waive that based upon his request, our conversation over Saturday and Sunday and Monday. He's asked to be relieved of that.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, what I'm trying to get at is if we are accepting his resignation, if that is the motion to accept his resignation.
No, we're not
currently-
accepting his resignation, it's done, he's retired. We're accepting his waiver of
Okay.
his obligation to us.
Let me finish my sentence though. If we're choosing to accept his resignation
not.
and
No, we're not.
we're not accepting him?
No.
If,
Well,
if he is
why let her
resigning.
finish on something that we're not doing, okay? And whoever said that the next time it's done, you're cleared, okay?
Okay.
I'm serious.
Please, everyone, just be quiet and let
Let's
us.
let the attorney clarify what we're voting. We're not voting on
No,
his
no,
acceptance.
I understand that. So, okay, if the council is choosing to understand that he's resigning, and we are moving to waive the 6-month transitional period, which means he gets all of his accumulated stuff, and he gets additional pay, correct?
He gets paid from today through Friday.
He still gets paid the $250,000.
That's not
additional.
up for discussion.
Okay. If that is what,
Okay.
if that is what we are
Excuse me, we're
discussing.
gonna take about 2 minutes. The next one that does that is out of here. You interrupted her, you've interrupted me, we're not gonna have it. Please be nice. Can you not be nice? I have to put up answering this stuff on Facebook. I don't need to have it here in front of us. So,
So, Mr. Chair, if that is what we are discussing, I think it's very important to discuss prior to making this decision, to discuss terminating him for cause.
we have a motion on the floor to discuss what we're discussing, which is to accept his offer to not perform the 6 months duty. And his effective date of leaving is the end of business day, Friday, the 22nd. And that we would appoint an interim manager, deputy manager, George Rectingwall. And that's what we're discussing at this point.
And it also includes that we will pay his leave accumulated.
Right,
Accumulated leave
right.
up to that day.
Because when he effectively retired, according to legal, and I've been spending hour after hour on this, as you know I have too, but legally, he has already earned the retirement benefit.
The retirement, yes, but the contract specifically states whether or not we agree to the transitional period, he's entitled to the lump sum payment equal to 12 months base salary. Isn't that correct, Dan? So no matter what, that's what happens.
That's done.
But what I'm trying to figure out, so maybe Dan, maybe you can help me with this in terms of Robert's rules or whatever it is that I need to try and discuss this. I think it's very important. I think just cause has been given repeatedly, and especially at the last meeting, I laid everything out and got crickets. Everything has been laid out repeatedly, and there's additional stuff that has come out. I think there's significant cause for insubordination, absolutely. There's significant cause for misconduct, nonfeasance, misfeasance, malfeasance, violation of duties to the county for honesty, and all of those are listed in his contract as terms for just cause.
Again, you're bringing issues that we're not discussing.
Can Dan?
Sure.
Can Dan address it?
Yeah.
So Dan, what do I need to do here in order to discuss that in any way, shape, or form? Or to have the council address that in any way, shape, or form?
Councilmember Post, I've given the opinion, and you could disagree, that I don't believe there's just cause under the contract.
But that's not what I'm asking.
Okay.
I'm asking,
So,
I'm
so-
asking if I
Let him finish.
feel.
That's what you did last time. Let him finish now.
I want him to understand
You
my
asked
question.
him, Heather, you asked
I
him,
want him to understand my question.
he did.
No, he didn't. That's why I'm clarifying for him.
When you stopped him while he was trying to finish, Mr. Eckert,
Well, council member and other council members, that's my opinion. If you would disagree with that, then respectfully, you would vote against the motion. If your reason for doing so is to say that there's just cause. I think the county would be unsuccessful in any litigation regarding that. That's the opinion I've given and reprinted in the paper this morning, paraphrase for that. So the motion accepts the premise that he's entitled to that and ends, as has been suggested by one speaker, his employment and says that he gets accumulated leave and that we appointed another manager. So, an interim manager, that is.
Okay, well then I would say to the council, we've discussed all of the above. I think more has come out. Just in the last meeting, there was just cause just in the last meeting for insubordination and misconduct. When we look at the different departments, when we look at the fact that the county manager specifically called and told an employee not to answer my questions concerning facilities or operations, that's cause. When we see what
So,
the
Mr. Chairman,
county manager said
that is
in the
not
paper.
a part,
This is exactly.
that is not a part of this motion.
Right. Yes.
Okay, well,
So, to me,
okay,
Mr. Zach.
council member,
Okay.
Post, you would vote against this motion if this is not what you would agree that we should do. But what you're discussing is not a part of the motion.
okay.
It's very clear.
Please, council, I want you to know that I think this should be discussed, so let's move forward then with the motion.
Motion's been made to call the vote. Is all in favor of calling the vote, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Now we'll call the motion. Any objections to the motion?
I object.
One objection. Let the record reflect. Motion passes 6-1.
And for the record, yes, Ms.
For the-
Post opposed,
As
yes.
opposed to opposed. Okay, so that moves us on to item, comments on the consent agenda.
It's all good.
Government in action.
Anyone wish to pull any item on the consent?
You got no issue with it.
I have nothing, Mr. Chair.
Okay, is there a motion
I'll
to,
move that we accept the consent items.
Second.
motion's made and seconded by Denny's to approve the consent agenda? Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. We'll take a 5-minute break, so those of you who don't want to stay for the rest of the business meeting, maybe so. Be back at 10:32.
Dr. Gogmont, who's reporting.
Yeah.